evening, members and guests. The first part of our program will be our guest speaker, Mr. Lester Gauthier, and I will introduce him shortly. But before we get into that, we always try to start with a prayer. Mr. Al, would you do that for us? Please remain standing for the pledge.
Our Heavenly Father, you have created the earth and set it spinning in its orbit. You have established the seasons by which we measure the years. As this new year beckons, we are truly in your hands. Help us to be better, more understanding people. Guide us, and though we may sometimes stumble, assure us that you will always be there to keep us on course. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Allen. As I mentioned, we have two parts of a program this evening. We're going to have a signing in of new members in offices for the year 2015, and that will be done by Mr. Louis Perrette, Clerk of Court Lafayette. He should be here during that period of time. But at the same time, we are very pleased and able to have Mr. Gauthier, Lester J. Gauthier, which I've known for a very, very long time, and most people in Lafayette have come and got to know this gentleman. He's got a BA degree in political science, 1970, University of Southwestern Louisiana, Lafayette. 2 semesters of graduate work towards master's degree in political science, University of Southwest Louisiana, 70-71, JD 1976 law degree from Paul A. Bear Law Center, Louisiana State University, Law School, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Work experience, 38 years as practicing attorney, engaged primarily in criminal defense and the representation of individuals in business and administrative hearings in both state and federal courts, with office in Lafayette, Louisiana. Membership, former Vice Chair of Lafayette Parish Democratic Executive Committee, Louisiana Associate of Criminal Defense Lawyers, former member of the Board of Directors, name of Order of Living Legends, to the Acadian Museum in Erath, Louisiana, for his work in the preservation of the French language and culture in Louisiana. Media experience, hosted a talk show directed to government, law, and politics on Acadian Open Channel, Lafayette, Louisiana, entitled Law Talk, from 1984 to the year 2000, produced and announced the high school football AOC on Acadian Open Channel, Lafayette, Louisiana, from 84 to 1997. He's a guest political analyst, KPEL Radio, also 1992 to the year 2000, and we're happy that he's here with us this evening. Mr. Gauthier.
Well, I'm pleased and honored to appear before you, and of course, and my good friends Judge Bouillon and Ken and Mike Stagger were there, know the next line I'm going to use. Now, one of the problems that you have when you ask me to speak is that I'm going to tell you what I think, and that can be a heavy price to pay for some people. Notwithstanding, you've asked me to speak, and so I will. I'm going to talk a little bit about the previous elections and maybe some issues. Let's start with some hard numbers. As of December this year, total voters in Lafayette Parish, over 149,000 voters. There are 71.5% white voters, 23.8% black voters, and other 4.6%. You might be surprised to know that Democrats compose 36.6% of the voting population, Republicans 35%, and other or independents, a growing number, now equaling 28.5%. The defeat of District Attorney Mike Horson, who was a Democrat who served in the 3-parish area, now means that the only, and I stand to be corrected, but the only parish-wide elected official that's a Democrat now is Sheriff Mike Newstrom. This afternoon at a press conference, Sheriff Newstrom announced that he will not be seeking re-election, which means that there will be an open seat And so, a very big question in my mind, whether we're going to ever have in the near future a parish-wide elected official with a D behind his name. I'm not saying there shouldn't be. I'm saying that there's a real question in my mind whether that's going to happen. Already announced, I believe, is Chad Leger, who's the police chief in Scott. Newstrom, in his press conference, mentioned that he thought there were 8 to 10 qualified people who serve in his office who could do the job. With the defeat of longtime City Marshal Nicky Picard, who was also a Democrat, he was elected citywide. That leaves in only, to my knowledge, again I stand to be corrected, Judge Doug Saloon as the only citywide elected Democrat. Does anybody know? Anybody help me and correct me on that one? Any other citywide official?
We have the city parish council.
Right, but they're not elected citywide. They're not elected citywide. I'm talking about people who are either elected parish-wide or citywide. Now, the next comment I was going to make was applies to City Court Judge Francie Bouillon, who is here with us today. She ran as an independent, and she won re-election over Joe Riley, a Republican, by a 58.7% margin to 41.3% margin. Riley was a native of New Orleans who came here after Katrina, and quite frankly was not very well known even in the legal community. Notwithstanding that fact, he got 41% of the vote. He had an or behind his name. I looked specifically at Broadmoor Elementary Precinct, Precinct 83. In that precinct, Joe Riley received 445 votes to Judge Bouillon's 354 votes. And it would surprise me if 10 people in that precinct know who Joe Riley is. It would surprise me. I'm not trying to be critical, I'm being analytical. He had an or behind his name, and in that precinct, he got 445 votes to Judge Bouillon's 354. The City Marshal's race, Brian Pope, a Republican, beat Kip Giudice, an independent, by a margin of 52.3% to 47.7%. In my view, Pope's win was slightly wind-aided by the fact that he had an or behind his name. And in my view, going into that race, I thought Pope was probably the favorite based upon the fact that he had an or behind his name. Although the race was actually a very close one. Interesting to note that Giudice, coming off of this race, works for the Sheriff's Department, and there's some possibility that he could just keep running and run for sheriff. I have no inside information as to that, but that's something that could happen. Next, we turn our attention to the Lafayette Parish School Board races, where only 2 incumbents were returned to office, and they were Tommy Angel in the Carencro area and Timmy Chasson, who represents a minority district, a majority district. 3 incumbents chose not to run. They were Ray Trahan, Greg Aubrey, and Mark Babineau. Mark Babineau ran for judge in Carencro. He did not win that race, but he chose not to seek re-election. 4 incumbents were defeated in their bids for re-election. They were Hunter Beasley, Shelton Cobb, Mark Cockerham, and Kermit Bouillon. Interesting to note that the Lafayette Parish Chamber of Commerce, in the form of its Empower PAC, was involved in endorsing 7 candidates who ran for school board. I can't help but ask the question. The question in my mind is, what does the Chamber of Commerce know about who are the best candidates for school board? That's a question. People have different answers to that. Notwithstanding that, they endorsed 7 candidates. 3 candidates that they endorsed, Mr. Centani, who's here with us tonight, Eric Kniezek, and Jeremy Hidalgo, won. The other 5 candidates they endorsed, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4. The other 4 candidates they endorsed did not win re-election, including 3 of the incumbent school board members who were avowedly pro the then Superintendent Cooper and in favor of his turnaround plan. The U.S. Senate race, just a little bit about the U.S. Senate race. In this parish, Bill Cassidy beat Mary Landrieu 67.7% to 32.3%. Cassidy was able to effectively tie Mary Landrieu to President Obama, and I want you to help me with this one. What percentage of the time did Mary Landrieu vote with President Obama? Tell me, please. 97% of the time. Now, I'll make this comment. Senator Cassidy now says he disagrees with analysts who said that he effectively tied Mary Landrieu to Obama, and Cassidy says that he won based on state and local issues. Now, you can believe that if you choose to, but we all know that he told us, and we all know that the effectiveness was tying Landrieu to Obama and the 97%, because everybody in this room, I think, knows how many times Senator Landrieu supported Obama, 97%. And that was the effectiveness of the campaign. There are comments, for example, I'm not going to quote him, but Jeremy Alford, who writes a column at LAPolitics.com, I guess kind of tended to agree with that analysis that what Cassidy did was effectively nationalize the Senate race. And he indicates that he certainly hopes that the governor's race is run on state and local issues as opposed to national issues. And it would seem, and it would appear, and hopefully we might all be able to agree that the next governor needs to focus on state and local issues. The upcoming elections for governor, statewide offices, city parish president, city parish council happened this year, 2015, qualifying September 8th to 10th. Now, for people who are campaigning, who are running for these offices, this is it. This is 2015. Christmas is over, and it's campaign season now. The primary is to be held October 24th, and the general election is to be held November 21st. If you call that the second primary, you're an old guy. We don't have second primaries anymore. It's the primary and the general election. The city parish president's race. By the way, we do not have a mayor of the city of Lafayette. We do not have a mayor president of the city of Lafayette. Whoever thinks he's a mayor is misinformed, ill-informed, and not correct. The chief executive of the city parish government is the president of city parish government. That's what it says in the Home Rule Charter. We have no mayor. The last mayor of Lafayette was one Kenny Bowen. We have 2 announced candidates for city parish president. They are Representative Joe Robideau and current CAO D. Stanley. Mr. Robideau had a fundraiser recently on December 2nd and raised over $150,000 at that time, and certainly indicates some strength in terms of his ability to raise funds. Of course, Lafayette has had a history of being very kind to television announcers. For example, Douglas Strauss and Ron Gomez. And so you certainly can't count out Dee Stanley, who was a former KLFY reporter. In my view, from what I can see, I don't see Robideau having much presence in North Lafayette and in the black community at this point. Stanley seems to be making more of an effort in North Lafayette and the black community than Robideau is, at least at this point. Many people I talk to would like to see a third candidate. And of course, it's always easier to talk about a hypothetical third candidate as being very attractive as opposed to two mere mortals, right? So you're dealing with two mere mortals and a hypothetical candidate, the third candidate. We all could, be interested in that hypothetical third candidate. The reality of who the third candidate would be is something else. So I think there might be room. There could be room for a significant third candidate, but that's going to have to emerge within the next 3 or 4 weeks, it seems to me, if that's going to happen at all. Now, there are I just commented about a few city parish council races. Bruce Conk resigned his position with the Lafayette Chamber of Commerce, announcing that he would seek to regain his former seat on the council in District 6. District 6 is a council district centered in Holden Heights, in the Holden Heights area. But Andy Nake, who currently holds the seat, promptly welcomed him to the race. Shelton Cobb's defeat for the school board seat by Elroy Broussard has created some divisions in that particular district, District 3, which is the council seat currently occupied by Brandon Shelvin. And there are rumors that Shelvin may face one or more opponents, as yet to be identified at this time. In District 7, which runs from Bendale Garden Subdivision all the way to Broussard, Don Bertrand may or may not seek re-election. That's not been established. He has not announced for re-election. Nanette Cook, who is the wife of David Cook and the daughter of Al Seymour, former city councilman, has indicated she's running. And Pastor Bobby Richard of Hope Alive Church, centered in an old Winn-Dixie right across from Walmart on Pinhook Road, has a very large congregation. There's some indication that he may be a candidate. So that's about all I have. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions about anything that I've said.
How many of them are lawyers?
How many of them are lawyers? Yeah. Let's see. You mean, have any of them that are running?
Yeah.
Well, Dee Stanley's not a lawyer. Joe Robideau's not a lawyer. Joe's a CPA. There is a lawyer who won a race in the school board race, Dawn Morris, beat Cockerham. Dawn Morris used to represent the school board, and she beat Cockerham. She's a lawyer. That should disqualify her from office, don't you think, Mr. Green? At least presumptively, huh? At least presumptively. Yes.
Mary Landrieu going to stay in Washington?
I would think so. I would think that she's run her last race, and I mean, you see articles now, and I know I'm in Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm on the south side of town, but you see articles now about what Landrieu accomplished for the state in 18 years, and she did accomplish some things for the state. I understand she's out, she's gone, she lost. I got that. But she served for 18 years and she accomplished quite a few things for the state. You see the articles coming out now acknowledging some of the things she did accomplish. But she's history. I mean, she's beaten, and she will not be a candidate. Now, we didn't, in fact, I know what I didn't talk about. I didn't talk about the governor's race. We have, I think, 4 announced candidates now. David Vitta, who is just about a cinch to make the runoff. Scott Orgel, also a Republican from Breaux Bridge, who serves on the Public Service Commission. Jay Darden, the current Lieutenant Governor. And John Bell Edwards, the only announced Democrat, a state representative from Amite. Now, the potential is that Mitch Landrieu might enter the race. You know, obviously he would suffer from the negativity that just took place in the Landrieu race, but at the same time, and this is just an anecdotal story, Mitch Landrieu was in Dwyer's Cafe the other day and talking with a staunch Republican. They sat and talked, and after Mitch Landrieu talked to him, the guy said, well, you know, I'm not voting for his sister, but I might be able to vote for him. That's just what happened. And so I don't know if he's going to be a candidate. Now, as I said, I believe that David Vitter is going to be in the runoff, but I think, you know, my long-range prediction is the next governor of this state is going to be whoever gets in the runoff with David Vitter. Whoever that is, that's my long-range prediction. That whoever gets in the runoff with David Vitter is going to be the next governor of the state.
Well, Jay Darden's kind of kept his table clean.
Well, that's correct. And let me tell you, and Democrats are down in this state. Okay, let's be clear about it. Democrats are down in this state, but in a double R runoff. In a double R runoff, who's going to determine the winner? You know who's going to determine the winner? The Democrats, who are, if they're unwilling, if Democrats universally are unwilling to vote for this one or that one, then Democrats are going to determine the winner in a double R runoff, in my view. Because if one of those candidates is unacceptable to Democratic voters, then I think the next guy is going to be the governor. That guy or gal or whoever that might be. That's my long-range view. Of course, I want to. The footnote on that is they say anybody who's predicting who's going to be governor right now, when we've seen people like Mike Foster emerge from next to nowhere, and Buddy Roma emerge from next to nowhere, so I guess there's room for somebody else to come from out of nowhere and be the next governor.
What happened to Dave Train?
He passed away. He passed away. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, he did. Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other questions?
Is there any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Another question. It was announced this afternoon late that the warden of the state is looking at running.
Yes, Burl Cain, the warden of Angola, is rumored as a potential candidate. And I think he is a registered Republican. Well, thank you.
We have another question or comment.
Yeah.
I have a question over there.
Yeah, go ahead.
And a question.
Okay, go ahead.
And I have enjoyed your presentation. I'm Bob Lowe. I've been involved in politics off and on for, I don't know, 100 years, more or less. But the American people have expressed themselves in all of the recent elections. They want to have a balanced budget. They want to have less governmental control, and they want to have more opportunities for people to run their business as they should. And this is something I think that all of us could support. Now, when some party comes along, some organization comes along and says, we have the solution to the problem in America, they get a bunch of votes. But Americans right now are disappointed. We're sick and tired of having excuses come out of Washington that says we couldn't do this because so-and-so objected to it. What he brings out this evening, and should be brought out, is we must support a good program. We must be involved. We must sit at home on election day, and we must get a change in America today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
You have any closing statement?
No, I don't. I thank you very much. I thank you for the opportunity to present this information and the commentary. It's not meant to be critical. When I discuss politics, I don't mean to be critical. I mean to be analytical. And so what I've done today is give you my analysis. Not meant to be offensive in any way to any party, person, or other thing, but it is my analysis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lester. We appreciate that. We have, while waiting for our clerk of court, Mr. Perrette, he should be in here shortly, but we do have a gentleman who has an announcement. He'd like to run by you and see what you think, Mr. Ray Green. He's not going to talk all night, I guarantee you that. But he's got some great ideas and certainly worthy listening to what he has to say this evening. Thank you very much. Ray?
Ray blue or red green? Green. Oh, green. What I call it?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ray Green. I'm here to do 4 things tonight. Number 1, to arouse your curiosity. 2, to ask a question. 3, to give you an invitation. And 4, to ask for your opinion. I wore this cap tonight for one specific reason. About a year or so ago, I was at the Acadiana Mall, the food court. There were 3 Lafayette High School seniors sitting next to me. One of them turned to me and he says, "Hey, I see you're a veteran." I said, "Yeah, I flew in the Civil War with the Wright brothers." He says, "Cool." I said, "Young man, do you know when the Civil War was?" "No." "You ever hear of the Wright brothers?" "No." Were you in the Korean Army?" I said, "No." "Why?" "Well, you got a Korean cap on." I said, "That's because I was over there, but I guarantee you I was not in the Korean Army." Starting soon and nationwide, high school students are not getting proper instruction, education on basic fundamental principles, such as the Constitution, government, and civics. Many schools, many scholars, quite concerned about the future of our, shall we say, our country, and the kids that grow up and take over many of the positions that are now being held. Former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor laid down the line. She says, "This lack of information on the Constitution, on civics and government is the quiet crisis in education." Recently, 2 states gave high school seniors the same quiz that is required for immigrants to pass to become citizens of the United States. I have the quiz here. It's from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, 100 civic history and government questions, 100 of them. 20 states, as of this moment, including Louisiana, are now trying to make a bill stating that all high school seniors have to pass this test in order to graduate. So we'd like, at the end of this short presentation, I'd like to get your opinion on that. Recently, 2 states gave this test to all high school seniors. Less than 5% of the entire high school senior student body got at least 40 of the questions given, and there were 100 questions given. That to me is unacceptable, totally. Question, think about this. Are you smarter than an immigrant right now regarding the Constitution, civics, and government? Would you like to find out? We conduct constitutional classes every 2nd and 4th Saturday, starting this Saturday at Thomas Park Recreation Center. We're going to be making the people aware of these 100 questions. They're very simple. Any high school senior should pass this with flying colors. I find it strange that in the past month I've asked at least 8 elected officials, state officials, their opinion about this. All 8 of them say, "Absolutely, I think that's a wonderful idea." Then I sneak in my other question. "How about you? You think you should also have to pass it?" "Oh, no. All 8 of them says they don't think they should have to pass a test for elected officials. I find that rather interesting. Louisiana, as I say, is one of the 20 states, and our Secretary of State is all behind it. So I'll leave you with this thought. Think about it, people. Are you as smart as an immigrant? Somebody who was not born and raised and educated in this country? Excuse me, born and reared in this country, I should have said. Think about it. If you're not, if you'd like to get some more information, come to our Constitution classes. They're free, and we will give each person a Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and a Bill of Rights, and some very interesting information on jury duty. It is surprising how many people do not realize how powerful you are as a juror in this state, in this nation. But if you'd like to get some more information, please come to our classes starting this Saturday, the second and fourth Saturday of each month at the Thomas Park Recreation Center right up the street, 10 o'clock. Thank you.
I'm not sure. He asked me if he thought that I thought I was as educated as an immigrant, and I can't really answer that question. We probably need to have a self-examination of our own knowledge of the Constitution, and certainly we appreciate everything you're doing, Ray, and trying to bring that to the classroom and to the citizens of Lafayette area. We expecting. While we have a couple more minutes, I see that. Lewis said he'd be here for 7, so I'm going to cut him a little bit of slack. But Judge, while you're here, would you mind giving us a couple of words? And you're coming up 4 years of service. I know you won 58%.
Surprise.
That wasn't made up. No, we didn't do that purposely, by the way.
Carol.
You want to answer these questions?
Yeah.
Well, if you give me those questions, I hope I can answer them.
Yeah, Pricey, all right.
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. As you all heard, Judge Francie Bouillon with Lafayette City Court, and I'm not going to talk much about my election other than to say Lester's right, and I was right to begin with. I ran a hard campaign. A lot of people said, nobody can beat you, nobody can beat you, but I said from the beginning that this is America. This job does not belong to me. It belongs to the people of this city, and I was going to let them know that I thought I was the best person for it and that I wanted it, and to show the people the respect they deserve by me working hard. Aside from that, it's a good thing I did, because I might not have won otherwise. I'm kind of like Lester. If you ask me to talk, I can forever and ever, but I hadn't really thought of anything to talk about. I guess, let me talk first about what Mr. Green said, and I think that all of us should have an understanding of the Constitution. I was privileged, Ken and I were privileged to have 2 people from Lafayette become citizens in our living room. Judge Dickie Hike did the ceremony for some friends of ours, and it was one of the most moving things that I've ever been to. And to think that he did it, privately, and he also agreed to do it in our home, it just brought the 100 people we had there for dinner to tears. It was really a wonderful thing. I do, or used to, carry around a copy of the Constitution, my pocket Constitution, with me, but now I have an app for that, and it's right here on my iPhone. And I'd like to know if I could answer those questions. I would hope to say that I could. But maybe I'll talk a little bit about our court and kind of what we do, because that's really my area of expertise and what I've been thinking a lot about lately. Our court has, when I started some 20 years ago, we had 18,000 cases that year. Last year we had 44,000 cases. We have 2 judges. We're unlikely to get a 3rd one anytime in the future, but it is a very, very busy court. We have managed to do it with 1 additional employee than we had, 1 more employee than we had 20 years ago, in large part because we have instituted a case management software program that has allowed us to process cases so much faster. I was in court today from 9 o'clock to 12 and from 1 to 4:17. I finished a little early this afternoon, and I think I touched 3 pieces of paper the whole time. I do it all on our case management software, I do barcodings. I know who's there, who's not there. I call out the people who are there first. That speeds it. They get to go home quicker instead of me calling the people who aren't there and wasting their time listening to that. So we try to make our court just as user-friendly as we can. We're having a meeting tomorrow with our website designer. Hopefully that thing is going to be online. It's been over a year and a half in the making, but we have a very complicated website. Complicated because we have to interact with other agencies. Lawyers have to be able to do certain things and get certain information that somebody else can't get. We have to have officers who have to be able to get information that isn't public records. We also have officers who have to be able to tell us if they've arrested somebody on a warrant, and yet we cannot allow them to change our system and make any changes in it, but they have to be able to somehow get that warrant off so that the next officer doesn't arrest the same person. So we've had that going on. And we also, Judge Doug Saloom and I try to be active. We talk to students as much as we can, let them know I'm kind of a guest speaker in one of the civics classes in Lafayette every year. Every student's required to bring an elected official, and most students don't know an elected official. So I'm sort of the designated elected official for any student who needs to have one. And Judge Doug Saloom does the same thing. And I see my friend LUS Perret has walked in, and so I will stop taking up any more of your time and let the meeting go on. And I would say that any of you have any questions, I can't talk about cases. I can't talk about your case. I can't talk, but I can. My door is open, and I'm absolutely happy to answer any questions that I legally and ethically can answer. Thank you very much.
Louis, would you please come up and maybe we can get me organized here, if you will.
Well, good evening, and thank you very much for having me. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, but I got through swearing in the police chief, the mayor, and all the council members in Scott. And Scott is now big enough to now that they have traffic over there, and so I was trying to hurry to get over here. Carol came by last week and asked if I would be willing to swear you all in, the officers, and he made it clear he didn't want me to swear at you, but to swear each person in. And it's my great honor because I love this time of the year, in particular when we have people that participate in government and volunteer. It's such a hard thing to get people that want to do that, and I commend all of your club members for doing that, and so it's my great honor to be here. I'll go ahead and proceed with the installation of the officers and call up Frank Flynn first. Please, how are you, sir? All right, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that you support the Constitution and laws of the United States and the constitutional laws of Louisiana, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as the incoming 2015 president for the concerned citizens of good government according to the best of your ability and understanding, so help you God?
I will.
All right, congratulations. Here, this is for you. All right. And then Jackie LeBlanc. All right, will be Vice President. You want to come up here, and I'm going to come around in the front.
I will if I can.
All right.
Watch out, she'll run over you.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
Not since I got married did I swear anything.
All right, hold this right here.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you support the Constitution and laws of the United States and the constitutional laws of Louisiana, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as Vice President for the concerned citizens for good government, according to the best of your ability and understanding, so help you God.
So help me God, I do.
Congratulations, Ray. Okay. All right. Ella Arsamot. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of Louisiana, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as Secretary for the concerned citizens for good government, according to the best of your ability and understanding, so help you God?
I will.
Congratulations. All right, CC Barrett. Most important person with the money. Okay.
No, I need to go on, right?
All right, sure. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of Louisiana, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as the treasurer for the concerned citizens for good government, according to the best of your ability and understanding, so help you God?
I do, I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. All right, Carol, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
I'm doing this a little backward, but most everyone knows LUS Perrette. Of course, he's here with us this evening. But let me just say a few words about him, where he's been in the last few years as our public service and public and all that. It's all nice places, I promise. Lewis was elected to Lafayette Parish Clerk of Court November the 20th, 1999. He was elected June 2000 by the fellow clerk to serve as State Director of Louisiana to International Association of Clerks, Recorders, Election Officials, and Treasurers. In March 2001, Perrette was elected to serve the Board of Directors for Louisiana Clerk of Court Association. In March 2003, he was re-elected to that Board of Directors for another 2 years. Prior to the election of the Clerk of Court, Perrette served as District Director of the 7th Congressional District for Congressman Jimmy Hayes and Chris John. That was 1986 to 99. Perrette served as co-chair of the Lafayette Bush-Cheney campaign 2000. He served as an alternate delegate for George W. Bush 2000 Republican National Convention in Philadelphia. In January 2000, Perrette was elected to the 4-year term Republican State Central Committee. Perrette worked for GOTV, which gets out the vote as a campaigning, and that's a pretty good position to learn a lot about campaigns and how to win. Statewide Chairman to Governor Mike Foster in 1995 and Communication Director of Governor Foster Transition Team. Lewis Perrette was selected in 1997 by the American Council of Young Political Leaders as a delegate to the People Republic of China. He is a lifetime member of the Alumni Council. Perrette serves on the Board of Directors of the Louisiana Capitol Small Business Leader and has served since 1911 as Chairman of the Board of Trustees for the Regional Health System of Acadiana, which includes Women and Children Hospital and the Regional Medical Center Hospital. He formed Formerly served as chair of the Board of Trustees of Women and Children Hospital from 2003 to 2008. He has been board member since 1994. He is a partner of golfballs.com, and he is founding member of the Network of Business Leaders. In 2002, Perret was elected to serve 3-year term for Our Lady of Fatima Church Pastoral Council. He served on the Finance Council as vice chair and president during the tenure of the Pastoral Council. Perret has served since 2003 as a club leader, adult leader, assistant scoutmaster, and scoutmaster for Troop 446. In 2012, Perret was appointed to the Executive Board of Evangeline Area Boy Scouts of America. LUS Perret is an NRA certified pistol, rifle, and shotgun shooting instructor, as well as a range safety officer. Partial list of organizations he has raised money for on behalf includes the United Way, Games of Acadiana, Children's Shelter, American Cancer Society, Ducks Unlimited, and the Acadiana Outreach Center. Perret graduated from Our Lady of Fatima High School and the University of Southwestern Louisiana with a BS degree. He became a certified clerk of court in 2000 by the Louisiana Clerk of Court Institute in 2002. LUS Perret was the first clerk court in the state of Louisiana to receive a chancellor's certificate in public administration from the University of Missouri, offered through the International Association of Clerks, Recorders, Election Officials, and Treasurers. He is awarded the Advanced Chancellor Certificate in 2008, and he is married to the former Cheryl Broussard and the father of 2 children, Ann E. and Max. We're proud to have you here with us. Thanks a lot, Louis. Should we? And before we adjourn, I'd just like to, we have a hand up. Yeah, it's allowed.
I had just heard from Jason El Kubi. He's going to be our next speaker for our Concerned Citizens meeting on the 19th. So if y'all can join us, please be here.
Who was that?
Jason El Kubi,
Kubi.
President of
Chamber.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, he has been here approximately 2 years. He's come as a guest 2-3 different times to our meeting. So he's a real participant, and so hopefully that you'll make plans to come and be present, be able to talk. I'd like to, before joining too, we need to wish her happy birthday. It's her birthday today, and that's the lady that's working for Miss Jackie Rose Baudouin. Rose. Happy birthday.
Not singing that.
Frank is handing out some. What's that? Frank has got constitutional copies if you need to have one here. If there's not any questions or anything, I entertain a motion that we close the meeting, and appreciate everyone being with us here this evening. Okay, good night.
Motion to close.
Schedule my meeting.